Welcome back, winning spirits. Today I'm going to be talking about wiping the slate clean. If you listen to the very first episode, I talk about three main particular areas or focuses or buckets that I'm always going to bring everything back to. One is strategy, the second one is state, and the third one is systems. These three things interplay to be able to help you win in life and win in every area of your life, not just making a bunch of money, but losing in your relationships or losing in your health. You want to win in every single aspect of your life. And everything comes back to your strategy, your state, and your systems. But there's something very important when it comes to those three areas. And that is every so often, depending on the bucket, you have to wipe the slate clean. So that applies to your strategy, that applies to your state in particular, and it also applies to your system. So what does wiping the slate clean mean? Let's take a look at it from a strategy perspective. Every so often, you have to go back to your strategy and just start from scratch because your strategy may not be working. It may not be enabling you to get to your goal in the right way or manner or fast enough. And you just have to say, okay, if we were doing what we are currently doing, if I wasn't operating the way that I was currently operating, what would I do differently? And that's very, very important. It gets us out of this automatic or autopilot behavior when it comes to executing. This applies to us as human beings, but it also applies to us from a business perspective and a strategy perspective. Okay, so we always have to wipe the slate clean at some point in time. Now let's get to the state aspect. This is far more important. We have to wipe the slate clean every single day and multiple times throughout the day. And the reason is because we carry this baggage with us. So if something unpleasant happened yesterday, and we carry it forward with us today, that's not going to help us perform better. That's not going to help us be more engaged, have more energy and drive to do the things that we want to do today. So if we're feeling guilt or shame or anxiety based on stuff that happened yesterday, we have to wipe the slate clean. And this is why I love the show Ted Lasso so much, because he talks about having the memory of a goldfish, right? 8 or 9 seconds and you forget about it and you move on. That is very, very applicable. You don't want to forget about your skills. You don't want to forget about, okay, you've made mistakes and what have you learned as a result of that? That's something that you want to keep track of, is what have you learned? You definitely don't want to hang on to those feelings that are associated with those mistakes or those bad memories or the previous anxiety. So the guilt, the shame, the anguish, you want to let that all go. So think of it as taking a shower. This is something that one of my old spiritual mentors taught me. He said, do you wake up and do you take a shower every day? I said, yeah, twice a day. I take a shower, once in the morning, once in the night. And he said, yeah. So why do you do it? I said, because I just want to feel clean and I want to, get rid of the dirt and the sweat and whatever it is, right? And he said, absolutely. So why wouldn't you do that for your spiritual state? And when he said that, something just switched on for me. And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely true. This not only applies from a spiritual perspective, but it also applies to the psychological aspect as well. Because if we are carrying psychological or emotional baggage with us every single day, then that's not going to help us be in a better state. And if we are, even throughout the day, if something negative happens in the morning, we got to wipe the slate clean because we want to be able to start fresh in the afternoon or whenever that situation happened. Yes, we want to reflect on it and learn from it, but we don't want to carry it forward with us. So that's why wiping the slate clean from a state perspective on a regular basis, multiple times during the day, is very, very important. And then there's the systems aspect, and systems are very much like the strategy, because every so often you have to start your systems from scratch. We're seeing this happen quite a bit in people's businesses because AI has come out. And so the systems that they had before, well, you got to wipe the slate clean and you got to start from scratch. And you got to do things completely differently because AI can just revolutionize how you operate your business. So again, that's a little bit of extreme. You don't always have to start from scratch when it comes to your system, but you do want to say, if we didn't have the current systems that we have, again, this applies to yourself and your business, what would we do differently from a systematic perspective? Okay, so take a look at the technology. Take a look at even your habits and your behaviors as an individual. What would you do differently? It's very important to pay attention to that. So let's just summarize this. Again, we're trying to keep it under 5 minutes here. If you clean the slate every single day when it comes to your state, you're going to be better off. If you clean the state every so often when it comes to your strategy, you're going to have a better and more revamped strategy. If you clean the state, your slate, when it comes to your systems every so often, then you're going to enable yourself to perform better, but also your business as well. So it all comes back to this one thing: clean the slate and start fresh. That's going to help you perform better and win in all areas of your life.